Star Radio's Business Hub with Business Gifts Direct, offering a selection of great value advertising specialities.
Hello and welcome to the Business Hub. My name's Jeremy Reeve and this is the region's only show dedicated to helping everyone in business succeed. So let's start this week's show with our usual look at the business stories that have grabbed my eye in the past week. And it's official, Cambridge has been named as the UK's most innovative city. When it comes to inventiveness, it creates more patents per 100,000 people than any other city. It's also the highest skilled population of any city in Europe. Now, this feather in Cambridge's cap is revealed by a study by the think tank Centre for Cities. The study claims most cities in Britain are lagging behind our European competitors for skills and productivity, and says the weaknesses are to be tackled if cities are to attract industries offering a long-term growth and prosperity. Also in this week's news, Price Bailey, who have offices around the county, have been awarded the title of Leading Advisor Practice in the Schroders UK Platform Awards for the second time in 3 years. The Investment Industry Awards are judged on evidence that a first-rate customer service offering is supported by an investment platform, latest technology applied to processes such as research, model portfolios and benchmarking, as well as rebalancing and reporting. The judges score each entry on total customer cost, asset management, platform and advisor costs. These also examine the overall evidence that they're having success in terms of overall turnover and in margin. Now finally in this week's business news, Sandy-based construction giant Kia have reported sales of £4.2 billion, up 26% for the year to June the 30th. Profits also soared 45% to £125 million. The company's chief executive, Hayden Mersell, has said that the firm are pleased to report a good set of results reflecting the evolution of the group during the year following its completion of an integrated takeover of Mutual. The group continues to perform well in a growing market sector, including in infrastructure, housing and regional building. Now it's time to welcome this week's guest to the show. You may be familiar, of course, with the growing development in Lancaster Way Business Park in Ely, who have recently been announced as an enterprise zone. So it's my pleasure to welcome into the studio Harvey Bibby, who's the Marketing and Development Director of Grosvenor Property, who develop and manage the estate. So welcome to the show, Harvey. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks for inviting me.
So, in layman's terms, what exactly is an enterprise zone?
I guess it's quite difficult to explain, but I'll do my best. We were made part of the Cambridge Compass Enterprise Zone on the 1st of April this year. And it actually encompasses 5 different locations around the periphery of Cambridge itself. So there's Lancaster Way Business Park at Ely, Cambridge Research Park at Waterbeach, Cambourne Business Park, Northstowe, which is a development that's just commenced, and Haverhill Research Park down at Haverhill. So we're quite unusual in that 5 different locations make up the one enterprise zone. The enterprise zone effectively gives us access to the Greater Cambridge, Greater Peterborough Local Enterprise Partnership and our local authority a lot more closely, but also comes with some key planning benefits and business rates relief, which is quite important when trying to attract new business to our location.
And that's a draw in itself, isn't it, that business rates are quite a large part of a business's turnover if you've got large premises, I'm thinking. So that's a key benefit, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. I think just for your information, any business, any growing business that moves into our enterprise zone will benefit from £275,000 worth of business rates relief over the first 5 years of their occupation. So it's a massive win for a company moving in.
So businesses that are going to take advantage of that, and Harvey, are they businesses that are growing rapidly, or are they businesses that have reached sort of as much of their growth potential as they can, and that 275 is going to benefit them over the 5 years?
Only companies that are in a growth phase, growing phase, can benefit from the enterprise zone status. So those key benefits that come with it, so the rates relief. Generally, there is no capacity in terms of the size of the business that's coming in. It's just taken on the growth of the business. And, you know, if a large company takes the premises and their rateable value is £500,000 a year, they will only get a proportion of the rates relief
Yes,
in any
yeah.
year up to 5 years. So it's £275,000 over that first 5-year period. It's not all in 1 year.
So who are the typical people you'd expect to attract to fill some of your estate?
Again, that's a difficult question to answer, but we do have a very wide planning consent, which would allow businesses that are office-based, research and development-based, light manufacture-based, general industrial-based, or distribution-based. So there's a real wide parameter there for any business looking to come in. But typically what we're finding is sort of light industrial, light manufacture with research and development sort of criteria as part of their business.
And this is where that relaxed planning comes into its own as well, I guess, is it, from the point of view of a landlord?
The relaxed planning in our case is helped by the fact that we have outline consent already for our 90 acres of enterprise zone. So we actually tick most of the relaxed planning criteria already through that. But for some of the other parks, it is slightly easier for them to get planning permission.
So how hard was it you to create the enterprise zone status then? I guess there's a load of work behind the scenes and a number of years, I should imagine. Tell us some more about that, Harvey.
The process is a lot of paperwork.
The joys.
The joys. There is a lot of engagement, as I say, with the Greater Cambridge, Greater Peterborough Local Enterprise Partnership and with East Cambs District Council, our local authority, all of whom were very supportive of our application and could see that we are capable of delivering property for end occupiers already. We have 80 businesses almost working from the state already, with about 1,400 people working from there. So there's a critical mass of business already working out of Lancaster Way.
And of course, for people that don't know Lancaster Way and people that don't know Ely, some of the key statistics are that it's 15 minutes north of Cambridge on the A10, and it's only 20 minutes west of Newmarket on the A142. And you think where Newmarket is compared to Ely, as the crow flies, it's not very far, but in transport you think it's more than there. But the other important thing I'm reading from your documents that we exchanged earlier is that you're 40 minutes away from Stansted on the A10 and the M11. Now, in terms of business travellers, that is really, really good, isn't it? 40 minutes to get to Stansted if you're an international business. You can see why people are choosing Ely. It's a real attractive place to work, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as far as transport communications go, things are getting a lot better for Ely. The A10, as I think we all know, needs further improvement, and we're working closely with the local authority to start gaining momentum on that with some of Lucy Fraser's help.
Lucy's the MP for
South East Cambridgeshire, yeah. And I think with the train station going in at the Cambridge Science Park, we'll see less than 10 minutes between Ely and the Science Park in terms of delivery of people by train. We're very much sort of less than 15 minutes into Cambridge Station, and thereafter on the guided bus out to the Cambridge Biomedical Campus. So in terms of connections there, very swift. You can also get on the train to Stansted from Cambridge Station. I think the Southern Bypass that's due to commence next year around the south side of Ely will certainly speed up that connection out to Newmarket. And there's certainly discussion at the moment going on around improvements to the junction of the A14, A142 at Newmarket, which again will help some of our distribution occupiers at Lancaster Way.
And it's all coming together. It looks like the plan that's been in place is they've engaged everybody in this. It's not just a case that the estate has grown. All the transport links are there, and it just seems to, as a whole package, work for everybody. So just talking about some of the history of the site then, Harvey, how long has it been an industrial area, and what's the history of the site?
Okay, well, it goes back some time. Lancaster Way Business Park was previously RAF Wychford, which ran Lancaster bombers out of it during the Second World War. W. Brand were the company that bought the site from the MOD in the early 1960s, and subsequently became Anglia Agricultural, which was owned by the Brand family, who currently own Grosvenor Property Limited. And they sold Anglia Agricultural some time ago now and formed Grosvenor Property Limited at the end of the 80s, and have just diversified into property ever since.
So now we know where the name of Lancaster Way comes from obviously the bombers. So
Exactly. And actually we have a museum on site which has one of the engines that was dug up from a Lancaster bomber that crash landed just off site.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we've got a little museum there if anybody's interested in
Oh,
coming
that is
out.
interesting. That is great. So you've probably got some interesting tenants on there, because what Harvey has brought into the studio, which we're going to tweet about now, is he's bought one of these roller banners that has an aerial photograph of Lancaster Way. So as I say, that's going to be on Twitter in a couple of minutes as soon as I get my fat fingers to work. So at the B Hub on Twitter. Now, there's some huge properties on there, Harvey. Who's your biggest tenant? And tell us about some of the other notable tenants that you've got. And are they long-standing? Do they come and go? Tell us a bit more about those.
I think actually the biggest occupier on site in a single building at the moment is Cambridge Commodities. They've been an occupier on the site for about 15 years. They started off in about 2,500 square feet and have subsequently grown on to other buildings with us. Until they moved into their new 80,000 square foot facility at the beginning of 2015, which is very bespoke to them, has office, laboratory, clean rooms and a large warehouse for distributing their product.
So I'm looking at this aerial photograph. We've got the roundabout there, and is that Volvo truck and bus that's on the corner there? Because I can see in the car park a lot of lorries.
Yeah,
so
that's
there.
Volvo. That's their main truck facility for East Anglia.
Right. So it's vast. You just don't realise until you see an aerial photograph how big it is.
It's big. There's about, I think, approximately 900,000 square feet of accommodation on this site now.
And how many tenants in total?
I think it's 77 at the latest count. That's following us creating a small business facility earlier this year, which was made up of 9 small business units that were constructed, and 8 of those have been let, which automatically brought the numbers up quite rapidly. We've had to put a new estate sign to take everybody on it recently.
You mentioned Cambridge Commodities. They've got quite a long history with you, and they've evolved in business, and you've grown with them, and you've now got this huge place you just mentioned. So how many of your tenants are as long-term as that? And is that unusual, of course, for a park like yourself?
I think it perhaps is quite unusual for an industrial estate to have such long-term tenants. Cambridge Commodities are one of a number of long-term tenants. Earlier this year, there was a new facility constructed for Richard Designs at the entrance to the estate. They had been a tenant of ours for over 23 years and wanted to move to expand and up their prominence to the general public. We also have N&C Glass on the estate, who have been with us over 20 years, and there are many others who have been with us around the 20-year mark, which is pretty good going.
And that says to me that you A, look after your tenants, and B, you're doing the right thing. So I guess that's a big pat on the back for you guys. So that is good news, isn't it?
I'd like to think so. I think it also it comes down to being able to have the ability to offer larger premises on to those occupiers so that they aren't hamstrung by their growth aspiration.
And that screams out from the development of what you've got now with this enterprise zone, because I'm thinking companies can come in and they know they can grow and they can stay within your fold, I guess. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, when we engage with new occupiers for the enterprise zone, we certainly sort of discuss the options around growing on space. We tend to offer a project management facility to companies looking to come in to actively promote their future growth without incurring significant disruption to their business in the future. So if you take the Cambridge Commodities building, for instance, there is a second floor level which is currently unoccupied in that building, which will be opened up as and when they reach their target employee numbers to move into that.
And they don't want, as no business does, they don't want the hassle of having to constantly worry about their accommodation. They know they've got it all sorted. So I guess that's important from their point of view of running their business.
Exactly. It's the focus on their business, which
so
is important.
Tell us about a typical day for Harvey Bibby. What do you do? What's your role, and how does it work, and what do you do?
Okay. Well, I generally get into work at around 8:15 in the morning. And every day is different, as you can imagine. We're not just a construction type firm. I guess our main role is the management of the existing premises and those businesses that are based there. So, you could come into work in the morning and have any number of calls about all sorts of different issues. So it's basically listening to the answer machine messages to find out what's gone on, if anything has gone on during the evening, and then sort of dealing with new inquiries, trying to find ways of accommodating new business, particularly into the enterprise zone, going around making sure the tenants are happy. We've got a continuous stream of refurbishment of property going on. It's visiting the contractors, making sure that everything is going right in their day and their program in order to deliver buildings in time for new leases to be signed on the buildings. So it's quite a chaotic day sometimes.
What challenges do you face within a business such as yours?
I'm guessing it comes down to us having land that we want to develop out, and it's doing that in the correct way, so not overstretching ourselves. We certainly are now undertaking quite a significant sort of infrastructure phase to deliver 4 plots for end occupiers during 2017. Obviously, what comes with that is significant cost with long-term end results, and you're sort of reliant on some of those deals that are on the runway, I suppose is a way of putting it, actually completing. So it's just managing risk, it's managing timescales. It's all very exciting at the moment, and it's just making sure that we're doing all the right things at the right time.
Now, just looking at the triangle that you've got, it is literally a triangle. Do you have ability to grow outside of that? So once you've reached maximum development for the triangle you're in, is there growth outside of that, or does that fall into arable land, and is that something you can move and progress to buy?
It's certainly sort of currently agricultural land that is being farmed. We have sort of looked at the options for growth outside of the parameters that we already have planning permission for. And I guess it comes down to discussions with the local authority. There is a current call for sites process going on at the moment where we've submitted some additional land to be included, but there is no determination on that at the moment. It would be interesting to see what happens.
With this relaxed planning we spoke about earlier, that I would assume extends to the area that you're in rather than just that triangle.
Absolutely. Actually, no, it just extends to the triangle of land ultimately. Right. So that is the extent of what we have as the enterprise zone.
But one would hope they would, if you need to, be relaxed around being able to extend that.
It very much, the relaxed is specifically for that triangle.
Right.
It doesn't include anything outside of it.
So I guess there's a million more yards of red tape to go through if you want to.
Potentially, and costs associated with it, because the planning process is quite a significant process that takes capital to get there.
Yeah. Harvey Bibby, who's the Marketing and Development Director of Grosvenor Property, thank you very much for coming and talking to us about the estate there. As I say, there's some pictures now on the Twitter feed at the B Hub, so go and have a look at those and you'll see what we were talking about with regard to that aerial view. But before you go, Harvey, one final question is that you've got to picture the scene, and you're on a desert island and you're stranded, and you've got the choice of taking your phone, your laptop, or something else. What would you choose?
Wife and family, of course.
Good answer, good answer. Well, Harvey, thanks again for coming into the studio.
Thank you very much.
Star Radio's Business Hub with Business Gifts Direct, offering a selection of great value advertising specialities.
Well, that's about it for this week's show. My thanks once again to Harvey Bibby, who's a director over at Grosvenor Property over in Ely. And I think one of the things I've got from the chat that we've had with Harvey is that you've got to build a business with growth and with investment, which they've obviously done over at Lancaster Way Business Park. There's certainly been some huge investments there over the last few decades, but the thing that really hit me there is that customer service in any business is absolutely key to growth of a business, because whether you're selling goods online, whether you're offering a service to customers as a service provider, or like Harvey and his team at Lancaster Way, is that if you look after your customers, in turn they're going to look after you. And I think the evidence there is that Harvey's got some tenants on his estate there that have been there 20 plus years, and they're continuing to grow. So I think that just proves that you look after your customers, and your customers will most certainly look after you. So if you want to find out some more, by the way, about Grosvenor, then it's worth having a look on their website, certainly if you're looking to relocate your business to somewhere that can benefit from being in the enterprise zone, of which Harvey's kindly shared with us some of those benefits. If you'd like to find out some more, I think it's worth looking on the website of Grosvenor, which is grosvenor.com. But I'd love to hear what some of you think about this week's show, so please do get on our Twitter feed, which is @TheBeeHub, or as usual, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and find out what I get up to during the week, you can do so by visiting my Twitter profile @CamsJeremy. But for now, thank you very much for listening to the Star Radio Business Hub. Have a good week, and above all, happy business.